In this lesson, we'll be adding an effector to add spin to the coins. Okay, so let's go ahead and go up to our Mo graph. And what I want to do is go into this effector tab here, and I'm going to add a random effector. So with that, we'll be able to change the way that the coins spin. Now, to be able to see this actually affecting the coins, we want to have all of the coin cloners selected, and then go into our effectors tab and drag that random effector into the tab. So you can see how now, no matter which one I have selected, random is shown and turned on with that check mark. Okay, so that's important, and you can see how it moved where all of those were. Now, I don't want to change the position at all, only the rotation. So I'll uncheck position. You'll see they snap back into place, and I'll turn on rotation. Now, rotation isn't automatically going to have a whole bunch of preset values, so don't worry about it not looking any differently. But to just kind of start getting an idea of how we want these coins to be affected, I want to go into our fall off tab and change our shape from infinite to linear. And what that's going to do is give us this kind of box here. And you can see that it's oriented a little bit differently than our graph. You can see that it's oriented with this being the front, and I would like it to move from left to right. So what we need to do is change it to X plus. So now, if we start to move that effector over and into place, we can see it starting to affect the coins once we change our values. So let's go into our effector tab again, and let's see our parameter. That's where we want to be. So now let's just start changing some of those coins rotations. So we've got lots of different ways that we can kind of start to change them. And you'll notice that it's only affecting the coins over here. So we have a bit of an issue with our fall off. Let's go back in and change it from X plus to X minus. So it's only happening on this side. And then I'm also going to turn that fall off up to 100. So actually, let's switch it back to X plus now that we changed our fall off. And you can see how switching back and forth between those kind of changes what side it's going to be messed up and then normal on. So what I'd like to happen is to have the fall off kind of always look a little bit messed up before, and then we'll pull this over and have them back to normal. So we need to have the orientation in the X minus. So you'll see everything looks nice and normal, and then when it's on this side, everything looks strange. So anything on the right side of the red is going to be rotated, and anything on the left side of the yellow. So you can see how this is the fall off area and how it's kind of blending that. So we're going to see the most change by having this over to the side at first. So let's figure out what we want it to look like before we actually do our animation. So go into our parameter tab, and there's a few things that we can still change here. So we may want to go in and edit those values a little bit. But overall, it's really not going to make a huge difference in the way of these looking random. They still look like each one in each row is still being affected very similarly. So you can see how everything in this row is all the same, and this one and this one. So we actually should go into our effector tab and change the random mode. So right now it's on random. We can change that to Gaussian, noise, turbulence, which I think I might like turbulence the best, because you can see that it's pretty random throughout, and also sorted. So those you can see are also all different in their rows. So let's actually try it out with sorted and see how it looks. So if I scrub this backwards and we let those fall in, let's say right about here is when we start to let this come over. So if we want to set a keyframe on our random effector, we'll go into our coordinates, and we're only changing the X because we're going from side to side. So we'll just set a keyframe for the X. So select your X and then control click the P. And then by the time it gets out of here, we'll want to pull this all the way over to the right. And then we'll key that again. So let's take a look. And it looks like we may actually need to bring that first keyframe forward a bit because that looks a little bit strange that they're not continuing to move. So if I start it maybe more around here, we'll just pull that forward. Or actually, we may want to pull it backwards so it begins a little bit sooner. So right when these start hitting is probably a better time. So right around 30. Very nice. So you can see how they're going to come in and look very jumbled. And then as they start to fall into place, they move on. Now this one, I think we could actually move over a little bit so that happens a little bit more gradually. Just getting them farther apart over time. Very nice. So let's go ahead and just play this through and see how it looks. Great. So I'm really happy with the way that that is working. And now I think the next step we can do is a little bit of a small step, but we'll want to add some textures over here to our pieces for our legend and really just kind of work on the legend, getting that animating in and reusing that original coin. So stick around and we'll work on the legend in the next lesson.